I don't really understand why the Commanders are underdogs to the extent that they are this weekend. I'm acknowledging that they're not that good. I just think the Bengals are being put on an undeserved pedestal as an 0-2 outfit that has not really played that well. I've watched both of their games this week. I've seen them in their entirety in a pretty dreadful performance at home, the only time they've been at home, by the way, against a team they were bigger favorites against and lost the game outright. That was just a couple weeks ago. And this past week, they played pretty well. They could have beat the Chiefs, who didn't play particularly well, and they still lost that game. I don't see this as a Cincinnati destroying Washington situation, an embarrassing Monday night. They've got 30 plus, you've got 10 or fewer kind of night. I think it's a one-possession game decided in the fourth quarter, and I would roll with Washington catching points. I want to know if anybody's with me. Jim's in Haymarket on Grant and Danny. What's up, Jim?
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Doing well, bro.
Excellent. Grant, I'm with you. I think, honestly, I think they're going to win 28-17.
Whoa.
I think they're going to work. I think they're going to work out. Outside of the red zone, they have been moving the ball. And I think they're going to get these things worked out where they're not going to jump off sides. And I think they're going to move on it. And honestly, Cincinnati hasn't really impressed me at all this year at all. So I think I think Daniels is just going to, I think he's going to shine this game.
What about this? Thanks, Jim.
Appreciate you.
Danny, this is our first Jayden Daniels in primetime situation.
Yes, it is.
Anybody ever watch him in big games at LSU? He got worse, right? He didn't play his best football, right? He struggled in those games. Alabama, Florida, the rivals in the SEC. Oh, wait, I'm being told in my ear, he always excelled and was monstrous and just thrived in those situations. We love Jayden Daniels, don't we? We think he's the real deal. Everyone's ready to throw him in the Hall of Fame before he throws his first touchdown, yeah? He can't go out and play a hell of a football game? I bet he can. This was Jayden Daniels today.
I mean, it's special, obviously, be able to play one this early. Just coming off my first actual game, the first home opener, now first Monday night game. So it's going to be special, but at the end of the day, it's another game. He's just playing later on in the week.
Let's go to Braden in Silver Spring on G&D. What's up, Braden?
What's up, guys? How you guys doing?
Hey, buddy.
Hey, so I'm going to go ahead and go against Grant here. I don't really see a way that we play it tight. I mean, Jayden Daniels versus Joe Burrow, two LSU Heisman Trophy winners. I love the storyline. I love how cool that could all be. But at the same time, this is as big of a get-right game as any for the Bengals, I feel like. They just played the Chiefs really tight. Chiefs are Super Bowl contenders, winners every year. I feel like our floor is kind of like that Giants, or our ceiling rather, at this point is kind of like that Giants game where everything just kind of has to go right for us. And given, Jayden might ball out a little bit, but look at what the Giants were able to not do and still be in that game. I think the Bengals, given if T. Higgins plays, I mean, they're going to light us up, light our defense up. I just don't know how we keep it close.
So here's where I get a little crazy, Danny.
Okay.
T. Higgins playing might actually be better. And here's why. Again, zero timing, no work at all with Burrow until this week. Another mouth to feed. They have a couple weeks of trying to figure this thing out with Jamar Chase and Mike Gesicki, who led them a tight end last week, 7 catches for 91 yards. But now if they incorporate T. Higgins, now it's another guy who's basically going through a preseason game on the field. I actually think that could work to Washington's benefit, maybe. Maybe I'm insane. Because their secondary is horrendous, and they can't cover Jamar Chase, and they can't cover T. Higgins. And so both of them on the field are two guys they can't cover, and maybe that's worse. But I've just now, for 2 straight years, seen the Bengals start like this, and it generally, last year, took about a month. We're halfway there. They played a lot better against Kansas City, no doubt. There was only one way to go, because they played awful against New England.
They really did. They were atrocious, and there was all the drama that led up to it, and it's still not all totally solved. This is their get-right week. That's what they're talking about in Cincinnati. I'm just saying. I mean, whether they're right or not, that's the discussion.
That's fair. I mean, their season is maybe not on the line, but you can't go 0-3.
Right.
They're 0-2, and they know that an 0-3 start would be devastating. So they are, in a lot of ways, playing for their year, which is scary, for sure. Vic and Akakik, what's good?
What's up, guys?
Hey, man.
So, turnovers and touchdowns, PTs. We haven't scored a lot of touchdowns yet. I'm not a big Vegas guy that seems to know all about Vegas, but I would assume that would drive prognosticators to say the line is going to be shorter and because the Commanders have the ability to score more points. And we haven't gotten a lot of turnovers. And turnovers, theoretically, people think lead to or would expect the more turnovers you get, it's going to lead to points that could lead potentially to touchdowns. We haven't done that either. So that's why I think the line is bigger. And I'll say this, add a little football in it. I was saying with you all the other day that I feel like the formations are too tight. The reason I believe that is because teams are starting to figure out this X come down, slot guy bubble out screen play, and they're starting to attack it to the point where it puts us sometimes in bad down and distance. I think we could give our opportunities to score if we actually spread our formations out and use our weapons in better situations. Which would, if we had done that the first 2 weeks, we might have a shorter line against the Bengals right now.
You know what? To that point, Vic, you know what I want to see? Appreciate the call, bro, as always. So they've done so much of the horizontal sideways stuff behind the line, the wide receiver screens, the RPOs. I want to see them hit on one of those that's just like a beautiful look where you've got two receivers, out, let's just say flank to the left or whatever. And whoever's in the slot or closer to the quarterback kind of drifts out backwards and toward the sideline for a bubble. And you set up to throw that screen so everybody bites, and the other guy runs almost like he could run a fade or a go ball if it's the outside receiver, whatever, down the sideline. But you see that when it's executed, it's one of the prettiest plays in football. Like you fake the screen, they bite up, and then they get behind the defender. To his point, everyone's going to be sitting outside on these short passes sooner than later. And I would imagine this week. Again, I don't want to beat this stat into the ground, but wide receivers for Washington targeted almost 40% of the time behind the line of scrimmage. The league average is 11%.
That's a trend. People can start to sit on that a little bit.
So at some point, you got to turn that into something that surprises.
You got to offer the counter to that,
and maybe that happens this weekend.